What's up, guys? That really gross guy here. We are back, and yes, this is officially in game. However, the mechanic for the ability swapping has not been implemented yet. But if you are to go to your Lisette and you are to obviously go through the download process for the installer, you are to go into this room, you will find your little hungry buddy infested dude in the back of the chair Helminth Lisette area. So there is no, like I said, there is no mechanic just yet of the ability swapping. You can't, they call it subsuming. You can't subsume a Warframe just yet, but we can officially see the nasty Helminth mouthpiece in the back of the Lisette is now a thing. What I wanted to do for this episode is the Dev Workshop has popped out talking about the abilities that are currently planned to become part of the ability swap system. So we are going to take a look at what those abilities are and maybe just come up with some possible good uses for those abilities and maybe some concerns as well with those abilities, as we go along. So jumping in, I'm going to pull up my little, dealio here. We have what Warframes and what abilities they are going to be set up with. So I would love to hear in the comments below what you think are good abilities as we go through them that are absolutely needed on certain frames, and which ones especially you think could really break the meta or be even problematic for the potential of the game. Of course, people, when I talked about this previously, it seemed like people were a bit confused, as though I think this is ability swapping is a bad thing for the game. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I just think that if it is done incorrectly, things are going to be, it's going to be a fix that we can't really go back on. So, when it comes to, I just don't want to see them start nerfing abilities and, doing all sorts of crazy stuff that's really going to mess with our builds and our Warframes and all that stuff. That's where I'm going with that. But I do want to talk about, the potential for some of this stuff. So, right off the bat, we have Ashe with Shuriken. Okay, something kind of what I would expect Ashe to get. We didn't get an invisibility from Ashe, so that's that's out the window. The augment for Seeking Shuriken, there's potential there for anyone who wants to maybe pull an ability off and run a Shuriken for that little bit of damage, and potentially Seeking Shuriken augment on that Warframe so that you can, like I said, so that you can maybe strip some armor or whatnot. Could definitely be helpful. Atlas and his Petrify. So Petrify, being able to petrify enemies, I don't really find that all that useful. Maybe some people can find a reason to use this, but I don't really find it all that useful. You can use the Orgaze. It does not create rubble, so you're not going to be able to get those stacks. It was armor stacks by having rubble attached to him. And then he also uses rubble for his other abilities, right? I don't really play Atlas all that much, so there's that. No rubble. Banshee Silence. So let's get a little bit more detail on her silence, just because I think it's kind of important to look at specific things. So using silence surrounds Banshee in an aura that stuns enemies and limits their perception and tactical response to gunfire and Warframe attacks. So this is pretty good. There's definitely silence builds with Banshee, that people tend to use. I would say this is a pretty useful ability that you could throw on a Warframe. For instance, if you were to, just example out there, throw Mesa out there, that way, you could totally stun all the enemies around her, go into Peacemaker, do her thing. However, she does have her ability to basically mitigate damage, so silence wouldn't be all that useful, unless you're really just trying to take 0 damage as Mesa. There's potential there. I don't know. Is there anywhere where this could be game breaking? I'm curious. That's one, like I said, it's one thing that I think we should talk about as we go along. But let's jump in. We have, Baruch, Lull. So Lull is pretty straightforward, but let's just make sure there's nothing too crazy in here. A calamity slow waves enemies into falling into a slumber. Enemies woken by damage will be confused and disoriented. Short-term amnesia means all waking enemies forget anything that happened before the lull. Similar to, I guess, her silence, but these guys are lulled and their their sleep duration is pretty extensive, and they are not woken up unless they are damaged. So there's a lot of potential here. If you're going to do like a finisher frame, I think this is a thing. Kind of like I said, kind of like with Banshee, very similar. So not too much of a difference between these two, to be honest. All right, so let's jump in, and we have Chroma Elemental, Elemental Ward. So kind of what I was expecting Chroma to be as his thing, not Spectral Scream, Elemental Ward. Depending on Chroma's elemental alignment, an offensive area of effect is created. Chroma and his nearby allies are imbued with defensive energy. A lot of people were actually hoping this would be included. I'm pretty sure. Vex Armor, maybe some people were more hoping this would be his thing. When shields are hit, Chroma and nearby enemy armor grows stronger. When health takes a hit, weapon damage increases. I think a lot of people wanted Vex Armor, but Elemental Ward, I think, has some potential on some Warframes. Is this breakable? You know, maybe Loki running around invisible using this Elemental, deal could potentially just kill everything without any concern for taking damage? I don't know. That's my thoughts. An invisible frame with that ability might be a little bit overpowered, but okay. Let's go Ember. Fire Blast. Okay, Fire Blast. Okay, I'm kind of surprised. I was really expecting it to be Fireball, but Fire Blast. We have Slam the ground and create a wave of incinerating plasma that knocks enemies back and strips their armor. Okay, armor stripping. Using this in tandem with another armor stripping ability that, you know, some other Warframes have could be pretty solid. That's interesting. Maybe like a Fire Blast with a Saren could be pretty crazy, right? You know what I mean? Like, 'cause she can spore things up. She could, you know what I mean? She just has a really good kit. And if you were to say to pull her Toxic Lash off, or I don't know if you'd take Molt off, depending on your build, you could potentially just armor strip enemies and just nuke them. I don't know. This might be a press, whatever button you choose, but let's just say press 3 and 4 to win. I don't know. There's potential there. Okay. Equinox. Okay, this is where things get a little bit crazy because Equinox has her one or the other kind of phase. We will use Rest or Rage depending on your energy color. Okay, so they did find a way around the two different whatevers. So I guess the lighter the color that your energy color is, it's going to be daytime, and the darker is going to be nighttime. So let's say you have a lighter, you're going to a night form. Okay, night form targets enemies or put to sleep. Okay, that's LOL basically. I don't know why you would choose one or the other. In day form, targets become more vulnerable to damage. Okay, more vulnerable to damage. That's an armor strip, kind of. That's basically Ember's Fire Blast, except her Fire Blast does damage. See, this is where things get like, why would you use one over the other? But hey, I don't know. You guys have your own personal choices, that's fine. Equinox, Excalibur's, what? Excalibur, Radial Blind, okay. That I found a bit surprising, but I'm down for that. Radial Blind, Flash of Light, blinding all enemies in a radius for several seconds. Opening them up to finishers, but why would you use a 15-second duration one when you could use, say, a lull? You know, maybe because the radius or whatever is a bit better. Let's just see. Radius is 25 meters, and let's see, Baruch's lull is 25 meters. So, what's the point? Maybe the energy consumption? Energy? No? Okay. I don't know. Anyways, I guess it's just because you don't want to sacrifice Baruch and you have an Excalibur that you can sacrifice. Maybe that's the other thing. Maybe you have a Banshee, but you don't have a Baruch to sacrifice. Those are definite good points to kind of bring up as we go. But, okay. Frost, Ice Wave, okay. That's kind of what I expected. Nothing really crazy about Ice Wave. Gara, Spectro Rage. Okay, Gara. Spectro Rage. I find this a little bit, strange just because she is a glass frame and this is kind of based around mirrors, but I guess you wouldn't consider this signature. So, this is the only one I thought it really could be. Well, I guess Toxic Lash, maybe more so, but I guess so. But, I mean, the area damage is good, so that could potentially be why you would use this over Lull or Radial Blind or something like that. But I guess you have to choose whether you would want to set up enemies for finishers or whether you would just want to shoot them from afar and utilize your mirrors or something, or just let it blow up. I don't know. I do not know. Okay, Garuda, Blood Altar. Wow, that's surprising. Okay. I mean, I won't say no because I'm going to have the beefiest, tankiest frames because of this ability. You use Blood Altar, which is going to heal your characters. Match that up with the proper Arcane or a Trinity, doing her thing, any of that stuff. You have Invincible Frame. Just throwing that out there. I'll take it. I'll sit in this thing all day long and not have to worry about, breaking meta. I don't know. What's the point of using certain frames if you can just stand on a circle and just shoot everything from afar? A Mesa. Oh my god. Oh my god. Take Mesa if you want to wipe her one ability because not a lot of people use it. You want to put Blood Altar on. You want to put her damage reduction on. And you would just want a Peacemaker inside of a Blood Altar. GG no re. Defensive mode, excavation mode, any of that stuff. Go take a nap. I'm just throwing this out there. Okay. Okay. Like I said, any other potential for that Blood Altar? Let me know. I'm curious. Any of these really. Thermal Sunder for Gauss. Not all that familiar with Gauss. Mock Rush, Kinetic Plating, Thermal Sunder. Okay. Okay, this is the one I pretty much thought it would end up being, because it has that outwards cold status, and then hold in reverse for process to reverse the process, draining battery inflicting heat damage. Okay, so yeah, this is basically the one I was expecting. Little AOE damage area, not something I would really consider. There may be some good potential for this. The reason why I say it doesn't seem that useful is because it doesn't seem like it has any armor stripping. I mean, it does have heat damage, does have cold damage, so you can heat or slow, whatever, but really armor reduction is a great way to go for any real frame. So, Grendel, let's see what happens with this. Nourish. Keeps the heal and give Nourish Strike only. Wait. The heal and give Nourish Strike only. Okay. Feast. Inflicts toxin damage on feasted enemies in Grendel's gut 1 by 1, absorbing nourishment to buff allies. Tap to cycle through buffs. Keeps Nourish Strike, so high damage multiplier, and heal. Heal? Nourish. Keeps the heal, and give Nourish Strike only. Keeps the heal. But this is by consuming an enemy that you have, right? Inflicts toxic on feasted enemies in Grendel's gut 1 by 1. So if you can't feast, how do you nourish? Okay. We'll have to find out. I don't understand. See, I don't understand how Grendel could work in this system, but we'll have to find out. Harrow, Condemn. Harrow, my dude, come here. Condemn. Alright. I'm a really big fan of this ability. Cast a wave of energy that chains them where they stand. Each enemy held reinforces Harrow's shields. The shield restore, a big fan of the way this works. The fact that you are able to just lock down enemies and then just wipe them out, I'm a big fan of that as well. I love Harrow as a character. Let's just see, as long as, it doesn't say it takes away any specific capabilities of this move, so I'm under the assumption it's still going to heal your shields, or restore your shields. I was gonna say this is pretty solid for maybe a what's her face, Hildren, but she can already shield restore, so that's not really a thing. And I'm under the assumption if you put anything on Hildren, the energy is actually going to be a shield drain. Does that make sense? 25 is going to be a shield drain instead of an energy drain. I'm just throwing that out there. Maybe they didn't think that through and it's going to come out and it's going to be broken and Hildren's not going to be able to function properly. I don't know. Just throwing that out there. So, speaking of Hildren, we have Blazing Pillage. Drains 50 energy instead of 50 shield. Jesus. Okay. Okay. Pillage a percentage of shields and armor by nearby enemies. Replenish her own shields and overshields. Also removes status effects from Hildren and ally. Okay, number one. Removing status effects. That's great and all. Definitely has use. But if you're able to drain for energy, 50 energy. How much does this cost though? Oh. Drains 50 energy instead of 50 shield. I'm confused. Okay, never mind. So this is gonna restore shields. I keep thinking energy is, or shields is energy, or now energy is energy. So I was thinking you're gonna use 50 energy to get 50 energy back? No, you're using 50 energy to get shields back. Okay. So I guess there's percentage there. This is like one of those, you know, get out of jail free cards kind of abilities. Another ability that could probably work on a proper build for Mesa. If she's, you know, about to go down, you could potentially pop this, you know, especially with all their damage reduction. You could pop this, pull her energy all back in, and be good to go. I don't know. There's potential other uses, so we'll talk about it down in the comments. Tempest Barrage, okay. Never gonna use it. I mean, somebody might. Corroding Barrage potential there, but having to put an augment and waste a slot, I don't know if you want to do that when you could just armor strip using Fire Blast, maybe? I don't know. Inaros Desiccation. Let's just kind of give it a good look at Inaros' Desiccation. So, blinds and steals her health. I guess the health steal is pretty much where you would want to go with this. Potential there for tanky frames. We already know that Inaros is a great tanky frame, so any other frame that you would want to be more tanky to drain health, you know, life steals, this is potentially good on. So, and of course, this stuns allows you to kind of follow up. So, anyone that might need a quick life steal, I guess this would be good on. So, I don't know. All right, Ivara, Quiver. Okay, tap cloak, hold noise, augment only affects cloak and dash wire. Okay, so this one's gonna be a bit situational. If you wanted to take advantage of Quiver, you know, the cloak, okay, dash wire, okay, noise, sleep, null shield, no slows arrows. I don't know. I don't find this all that useful when you could run another ability. You know, like once again, a Fire Blast to remove armor reduction, probably more useful. The ability to put to sleep using something like Lull, a bit more useful. The Silence for Banshee, a bit more useful. But the ability to switch between any one of these on a, you know, on your own, I guess. Is a Warframe gonna pull out a bow if you put Quiver on them, or are they just gonna shoot a dart out of their gun? I don't know. Okay. Korra. Let's see what happened with Korra. And Snare. Okay. I kind of what I expected. Entangles them straight to close. Whip Claw will refresh the trap, allowing to capture more enemies. I guess you could use Ensnare, but once again, with Radial Blind, Excalibur is so easy to get. Excalibur's Radial Blind, Lull, Silence, any of that stuff. My priority, maybe I'm not thinking of something, you guys can let me know. What did they do to Limbo? Banish. Oh no. Okay, base ability, change, add cancel ability on hold to let enemies out of the rift. Oh no. Alright. Alright, I was kind of afraid of this with Limbo. Be prepared to get banished by Excaliburs and any. Just be prepared to be trolled by people who are not limbos. I'm not really going to talk about this one because that's a bit frustrating. It's what I expect because limbo, you can't use limbo's other abilities really. I guess you could argue, I guess you could argue stasis freezes enemies because we're doing other stun moves. But then they'd have to be banished, right? In order for that to happen. Rift Surge, I don't know. Whatever. Alright. Loki Decoy. Not interested. Mag Pull. Okay. Some people don't really care much for pull. I don't mind it because it is kind of like a stagger and it brings enemies close to you, maybe going into melee range. I find that ability actually decent, but people would probably prefer Mag's other kits, but it is Mag and they are kind of signature to her. Mesa Shooting Gallery, okay. Kind of what I would expect from Mesa. Let's just take a look. Maybe there's something we didn't think about. Gives extra damage while jamming guns for nearby enemies. This shifts between members. Of course, if you are running solo and you just wanted an extra damage buff for yourself, this could be a good way to go and do it. Damage increase 25%. Not insane, but better than using an ability that you never use on a specific frame. So, I don't know. Whatever you choose as a Warframe that you don't use. Necros is Soul Punch. There we go. We were talking about Necros previously. If you really want to do extra damage output with Necros, get those desecrations, run a really solid solo Necros, I guess extra damage output, something like this. However, I believe Necros could really benefit from a lot of other things. Even just those other stuns we were talking about, probably a good Necros ability, but this is a possibility. It has a long duration, which is probably the biggest benefit, is being able to Shooting Gallery for a long time and get that extra damage output. I don't know. Let's see. We have, of course, we're getting close to Necros too, so I'm excited about that. Eclipse? Mirage? Okay. Here's another one. Let's go. Let's just look at it so we can get the total. Stand in the light, and you're going to deal extra damage. Stand in the shadows, you're going to get the extra defense. So, oh man, damage reduction on top of Mesa's current damage reduction. Mesa's going to be the tankiest frame to ever exist, or any other frame. In Aros with extra damage reduction, insane. But then flip that around and do attack extra damage output. So that makes Mesa insane. That makes Inaros tanky when he wants to be and damage outputable when he wants to be. This definitely can work for tons of other Warframes. So this is fantastic. Potentially problematic. I hope we don't see nerfs. Just saying. Necros. Let's do it. Terrify. Okay. Some people were actually really on board with Terrify being put on any frame. I feel like there's just way better abilities out there for us to use rather than Terrify. But, I don't know. If you were trying to get enemies away from you, rather than just stun them with, say, Radial Blind or, a lull or something like that, I guess Terrify would work. But I would prefer to, especially as a Necros, I would rather drop Terrify. Probably would drop Soul Punch, to be honest, but I would rather drop Terrify for a Radial Blind or something else. But let's say you keep Terrify on here, you drop Soul Punch, you could have your Terrify still on here, you could have a damage increase like an Eclipse on your Necros, but then still be able to Terrify enemies away from you whenever you wanted to. Huge potential. I'm actually really excited to have an insane Necros build for running solo missions. Speaking of, my challenge mode, my no hood survival or solo mode or whatever, I'm going to try and gun for Necros, and once this ability swapping becomes a thing, he's going to be an insane solo frame for me in that profile, so I can't wait for that. If you'd like to check out those videos, you can, but let's keep going. We have Neja next. Firewalker, alright. I guess. I don't know, maybe you guys have a good use for this. Firewalker, I'll pass. I'll never put that on a frame, I don't think. I guess maybe I would put this on just to stay in theme. I would put this on maybe Ember, just for the sake of not running Fireball. But maybe even Fireball's better than this. I don't think Firewalker's a good ability. I could be wrong, but I don't use it really. Nidus Larva. Okay, Nidus. And Virulence Larva. Okay, spawn an infested pod that erupts tendrils, latching on. Okay, pulls him in. Another good stun. This is something I would use probably over Terrify, but of course people really don't like Soul Punch, so maybe you would once again go for a damage output type buff. But man, that's pretty good. Pretty good. Potentially breakable. Oh, it is kind of breakable. Mesa being able to pull all the enemies into her Peacemaker and then just light everything up in one little spot. But then again, why would you waste the energy on Peacemaker when you could just run like a Soma Prime or something and just rip those guys to shreds? I don't know. I mean, personal preference. I don't know. Nova, let's see what happens with Nova. Nullstar, what I was expecting, however, the damage reduction is going to have to be a thing, right? So if you were to have an insane power strength user, I don't know, Mesa, I'm just throwing this out there because I'm just talking about tanky frames. Frames that have insane damage output, but you would want to be the tankiest thing in the world just because they're going to survive. You know what I mean? A Nullstar would be great on that. But reduced range, I suppose that could work for Mesa. It depends. Depends on your build. I don't know. Is there something I'm not thinking about? Nullstar? You could put this on a Naros, actually. Because if you were just focusing on his tankiness and not really worrying about range for his abilities, you could just tank up Inaros to infinity and beyond. But because Nullstar attacks enemies that are nearby, Inaros tends to do finishers, so you'd probably lose out on these Nullstars, but I don't know. You could also probably use the Augment if you wanted to, but then you're sacrificing a slot. I don't know. Nyx Mind Control. Alright. I didn't quite see this one coming, because Mind Control is... I mean, it's Nyx. Everything is signature to Nyx, so... I don't know. I guess so. It's not the greatest thing in the world. It might be really good on the Steel Path, just because the enemies that you control and then increasing their damage multiplier could make an awesome ally to fight with. But people were kind of excited for Psychic Bolts, I believe. Strip enemy of defenses, and I don't know what I was expecting with Nyx, to be honest. Oberon, Smites. Alright, we don't really need to look in that. Smite is okay. I think it has decent damage output, to be honest, for a 1 ability, and it does target other enemies, but to choose it over other abilities, I don't know. Octavia's Resonator. Alright, let's kind of... Octavia was another, careful one, so melee, Resonator. Launches a roller barrel that charms enemies and follows it, combines with the... Okay, so we can't really worry about combining it with anything. It's just going to be a decoy. Okay. I guess so. I guess Protea, I'm thinking like Protea, because it looks like kind of her kit, like her gadgets, kind of makes sense, but is there a good reason to use this over other abilities? I don't know. Once again, maybe I'm not thinking of something. Protea, what did they do with her dispensary? Okay, kind of what I was expecting. We're just going to be able to continually heal other frames, tanky frames. Running a frame, I'm just going to throw this out there. I like to run a Protea with the conversion mods. One or the other, or both, depending on what I'm kind of trying to do. So increasing your next power cast ability with, 50% extra power strength can be really awesome. So if you're using conversion type characters or conversion mods on certain Warframes, that could be good. The health one for extra armor. I use a health conversion with my Necros build, so this could be awesome for Necros. Just being able to get his stacks of armor reduction. However, he kind of already does that with his Desecrate, but hey, It's another option. Another option if you're not going to do like a stun lockdown ability or an eclipse or something like that. You know, more I think about it, eclipse I think is going to be an absolute on my Necros, but we'll see. Changing the meta. Literally changing the meta. You're going to need something. Well, you're not going to need it, but you're really going to benefit from having something like eclipse on Necros. All right, Revenant, Reeve. Okay, Revenant. How good can this really be? Reeve. Dash through enemies, a wall of sentient energy, leeching shields and health from any encountered. I guess I could see potential in this. Health drain. And what was it? Health and energy? Leeching. Oh, health and shields. So there's potential there for sure. Any enemies that you need a little bit of extra health drains or shield drains be beneficial for a frame that you're trying to keep alive, and you need, you know, I don't know. The problem is this is going to require enemies to kind of line up for you, and you dash through them. But I don't know. There's potential there. In narrow corridors, it's definitely some potential. Rhino, Roar. Okay. Grants all nearby Warframes increase damage for a short duration. Okay. This is pretty big for our damage dealing frames. This is really big for our damage dealing frames. It has a 75 drain, but the duration is really good. The radius can cover so much range, and the damage increase so good. Wow. All right. You're breaking the meta, Warframe. Just saying. You're gonna get frames dishing out millions of damage now. Well, you already have, but you know what I mean. Now you're gonna have, what, Titania dishing out millions of damage when she could, you know what I mean? I don't know. Saren's Molt. Alright. I guess so. It's like a decoy with the potential of the regenerative Molt, but why use that when you could use something else? People were kind of excited for Toxic Lash. So, I don't know how I feel about this one. Actually, I do kind of know how I feel about this one. I probably won't use it, but Titania Spellbind. Alright. Why this over anything else? Spellbind, there it is. Enemies fumble their weapons, whisk in the air. Nearby allies become immune to status effects, I guess. Hold the ability to cast immunity onto Titania. I guess. Well, why that one over others? I don't know. Once again, let me know. Something I'm not thinking of. Well of Life. Alright. Base ability buffed. Now does small amount of heal over time over large range. If you hit an enemy, a percent of the damage dealt gets converted into AoE heal. Well of Life. Alright. This is another... it's the Blood Altar or this. And attached to the proper frames, just gonna make invincible frames. Okay. Alright, we'll go with it. Warcry. Valkyrie lets out a rallying cry that bolsters your allies' attack speed while slowing down nearby enemies. I could absolutely see real good use for this. 75 energy drain, so you'll have to consider that, which for most frames isn't a problem. But, yeah. Rally cry boosters her attack speed, slowing down nearby enemies. Radius, duration 15 seconds isn't the longest thing in the world, but that armor increase, that speed increase, and the enemy speed decrease, you're really gonna mess some enemies up. You could go with a really, you think about it, you could go with a really crazy Necros, focusing on severing enemy limbs with his melee, and you could just Warcry the crap out of frames. It would make for a good use of his energy if you're running his desecration, his other desecration that uses his health. Then you could have a good use for his energy. I don't know, but that over Eclipse, maybe depends on their build. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, to be honest, because the way it's going to work is you're going to have several different loadouts. You're going to have, well, multiple loadouts. So you could put Eclipse on his one slot, or his A slot. You put Warcry on his B slot, and then you could put, say, Radial Blind on his C slot, just in case you wanted to mix it up a little bit. I don't know. Potential there. Interesting. Let's go check out, we have out here, Vauban, Tesla, Nervos. So Vauban recently changed, so let's just see. The roller drone. Alright. Electricity. No thanks. No thanks. Can't really find a good reason to use that. Shock, I guess. I feel like Vauban, since he's pretty easy to get now, getting him through Nightwave and Volt, these are really going to be like new player abilities that they would put on their Warframes because they don't have the capability of sacrificing some of these other really good frames. But I guess Shock's in there, Tesla's in there, some of these others are in there just for new players, I guess. I don't know. Wukong's Defy. Ooh. Are you Wisp? What happened to Wisp? Did I skip Wisp? Okay. Wukong's Defy. Wukong and his twin become invulnerable to Defy damage. That's kind of what I was expecting. I mean, his Celestial Twin would have been insane. But, bonus armor granted to the relative damage captured. Okay. Alright. I'm trying to find a better or a reason to use this over some other stuff. I guess the armor buff is pretty decent. Damage multiplier. Alright. I don't know. Maybe you guys have a good use for Defy on another frame. Something that I can't think of at the moment, but oh yeah, I did skip it. Wisp's Breach Surge. Okay. Here. Reservoirs. Nope. Will-O-Wisp. Nope. Breach Surge. Pretty much what I was expecting. That kind of a Radial Blind-like move. Dimensional Brief overwhelms enemy, cause them to release a surge of sparks when damaged. Wisp may also target a reservoir. Okay. Reservoir, that doesn't matter because we won't have one. Drain 50 energy radius, blah blah blah. Blind duration 16 seconds, not bad, but the damage multiplier could be the perk for this one. I mean, maybe status chance, 20% extra status chance? Is that how that works? Anyways, I guess there's some potential here. This probably you'd be better off using over, say, Radial Blind, especially because rather than focusing on finishers, maybe you would focus on, you know, gun damage, maybe utilizing that status chance. I don't know. I actually do like this. I like that this is one of the ones that is included. I feel like I could place this in a few spots and have it be useful. We'd have to think about it. You have a good use for that ability? I'd love to hear them. I feel like it's a good ability. I just, for whatever reason, can't place really good, you know, potential spots for it. Zaku we don't have yet. Zada's Whisper. Don't really know much about that. Zephyr, his Air Burst. Okay, Zephyr. We're gonna go to Zephyr and Tailwind, Air Burst. All right, passively dense air. Okay, this is that wave-like. Burst-like attack. Damage, I don't know. I wouldn't use it. But those are all the abilities. There's probably plenty that I am not really considering or thinking of when it comes to proper synergies with some of these abilities. But you guys will have to let me know what you think. What abilities could absolutely just go crazy with a frame? I'm thinking Mirage, maybe setting up her doppelgangers, and then following up with, I don't know. I feel like Mirage's doppelgangers is really good with weapons rather than other abilities. So I don't know, but I'm curious. What abilities are you really excited about? What synergies did I not think of? What meta is going to be broken? What Warframe is going to be unstoppable from now on? because of the synergies. I'm really curious, but this video is very, very long. I apologize, but I wanted to get to the nitty gritty and show you guys all the abilities that are currently in this. I believe they are still subject to change, just saying, and I'm under the impression some stuff will not be as viable on frames because they're gonna nerf them. They're gonna realize that a Naros with a Blood Altar or whatever, or a Mirage's Eclipse is just gonna be too insane, and something's gonna get nerfed, and that's why I'm a little on edge about this ability swapping thing. As much as I would love to see, of course, you know, a Necros with an Eclipse or something like that, I'm just nervous. Things are they're gonna start nerf hammer freaking blasting stuff. So, anyways. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you made it to the end of this video, please let me know. That would be insane if you made it to the end of this video, but if you did, holy crap, I appreciate it. I think I have some platinum still to give out, so if you did make it to the end of this video, if you did leave a comment about any of these abilities, Warframe stuff, just maybe in all caps or something, type "the end" in your comment, and I will try to hand out some platinum for some of you guys, you know, somewhere in maybe your in-game name as well. That way I can message you. Anyways, I'll find a way. I'll let you know. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you guys again in the next video. Blow!